I didn't get a haircut. Lockdown's driving me. Make my little homeless and that. Are we going? Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Sunday Sessions with me, Hassan, and George behind the camera. Today we're doing a little grilled pork chop. We've got some lentils and like a little ROMESCO sauce. So it's a bit of a mishmash between France, Spain and Italy. A bit like me, mishmash. So first things first, I've got these beautiful pork T-bones from Swaledale. Big up the boys at Swaledale, all the way out in Leeds in the Dales. And the first thing we need to do is take this rind off. Now, this rind, unless you're doing like a roast pork and you want crackling, doesn't really work on the barbecue. So we're just gonna take this off, trim the fat a little, and it makes cooking a lot easier. So just gonna run my life along, using the bit of skin as a guideline, and off she comes. We're gonna do a little marinade on our pork chop. Now this is good quality pork, so I don't wanna go anything that's too overpowering or fucking mad. So we're just gonna go some rosemary. I've got 1 stick of rosemary. I'm just gonna pull it down. Just want the leafy bits, no stem. Got a little bit of thyme, again. Couple pulls, just want the leaves. Like that. I'm gonna go a little bit more actually. So that's 1 stick of rosemary, 2 sprigs of thyme. Then we're gonna go in with some garlic. Now garlic's gonna give you like a roasty background flavour, a little bit of a oomph, some push. So I'm gonna go in with, let's say, 1, that's 2 bits of garlic. I'm gonna go in with a crack of salt. Now the salt is gonna help break everything down, give us like that abrasion to make everything into a smooth paste. And then we're just gonna bash this down in our pestle and mortar. Now this isn't gonna paste completely, but what we're doing is we're bruising our herbs and our garlic for them to release their moisture and their juices. And you'll end up with something that looks a bit like that. We're gonna go in with half the rind of a lemon. This is just gonna give us like a little acidity, a little of lemon, a little hum. So I've got rind of lemon, and now, just to loosen it so that it coats our pork chop, I'm gonna go with some olive oil. Get some olive oil that doesn't pour this slow. Just like that. And then we're gonna give this a little mix. Little mix like that, like the girl band. This needs a little bit more olive oil, just to loosen it, just so that we've got coverage and we have the ability to spread all these flavours over our pork chop. So look, I'm happy with that. In this case, it's a pork chop, but this can go on chicken, lamb, veal, your meat, whatever. So, marinade is just gonna go over our pork chops. Just gonna rub this into both of our chops. And it doesn't have to be a very wet marinade, but the longer this sits on top, the more the flavour is going to penetrate, right? Oh, you can marinate these overnight, right? These can go in the fridge for up to 3 days. But if you're going to cook them on the same day, I marinate and then just leave them out 2 hours, 3 hours. Nothing's really going to happen. These were fridge cold when I marinated them. Now, if we allow our meat to come up to room temperature, 1, it takes less cooking time, and 2, it gives us more control over our cooking temp. So this goes to one side. We're going to move on to our ROMESCO sauce, which is corno peppers, some cherry tomatoes, a whole bulb of garlic, some toasted almonds that I did earlier, and some paprika. Now, there isn't really much prep to do for this. So we're just going to show these tomatoes and peppers a little bit of love. So I'm just going to go over a little bit of olive oil. Now, I'm cooking my tomatoes in a sieve just because I want control. If I try to put tomatoes on the grill, they're going to roll about the place. Not fun. Just put them in the sieve, make sure it's metal, on it goes, no drama. So now, good crack of salt. I've seasoned my tomatoes, I've seasoned my peppers. This stuff is gonna go to one side for now. For this, I'm using 4 corno peppers, which are the long sweet ones. You can use red peppers, or you can use them that are already in a jar, use a whole jar. And I've got about 20 cherry tomatoes in here. I'm gonna walk these over to the grill, and we're just gonna blister them and let them do their thing. Peppers and tomatoes down. Just let them do what they want. We're gonna blacken them up. We want our tomatoes to blister and go sweet. We want our peppers to go completely black. Let them steam from the inside out. We're gonna reserve the juices. We're gonna make a nice little bish bash bosh in a pestle and mortar to go on top of our pork chop. So I've got these over quite a gentle heat. You can hear just like the little pips and pops of the salt coming up to temperature. We're looking at about a 3 count. You can do this over a hotter heat. This is just the temperature that my barbecue's at, but we don't want to completely batter our peppers and tomatoes. The higher the heat, the more you have to look after them. If you get your grill to a 3 count, I know that I can just put them aside and focus on other things. So if you're using a sieve, always carry a trusty tea towel and don't burn your hands. Ask George. Anyway, let's go back. We're going to do some puy lentils, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going from Spain to France on a mashup team, big mix. So let's talk about lentils, yeah? These are puy lentils from the volcanic soil in a certain part of France that I can't remember. Now, what you want to do is just wash these and check for any stones. I've never come across a stone in the lentils, but they always say look for stones just in case, and I'm not trying to break no one's teeth. So this is a mug of puy lentils. We just need a little something that's going to carry all of our flavour. So we're going to go with the base, an onion, some garlic, some celery, and some pancetta. Hi, I'm Hassan and I make mistakes. I forgot to say that we need to roast some garlic in the tomatoes and peppers, so I'm just going to peel a few bulbs. We're going to go about 6 cloves of garlic, and we're just going to grill these in the sieve. Just want some nice roasted colours. This is going to give us a depth and a background, a little hum. So I'm going to go in with my 6 cloves of garlic and I'll be back. So I'm just going to give these a little jiggle. Whilst we're messing around with the lentil stuff, and I forgot to put my garlic in, we're just going to check our peppers. So look, we've got a nice char on them, right? They're not completely black. They're starting to puff. And that's the heat bringing the steam out. This is them cooking inside out. Just like that, a little turn. This is the, so we've got a little hole. Our steam's starting to escape from this one. It's gonna blister and pop, and then they're gonna wilt and be like, oh, take me, peel me, get the seeds out. I'm sweet and I'm delicious. Once you're at that point, we're good to go. Back to the lentils. And I won't forget to put things in the lentils, I promise. Now, this is some very good pancetta from Cobble Lane. So this is just like cured pig's belly. You can use bacon, a depth, a smokiness, a little bit of double pork action, pork on pork. Not like denim on denim, this bangs. 2 nice slices of pancetta. Don't want loads, we just want like a little double pork, double denim vibe. Is that enough? Yeah, that's plenty. So now, just going to take this rind off. Can't eat that bit. It's also where all the salt and the curing bits lie, and it's got like too much flavour almost. And then we're just going to cube this. Nice little battens first. Going to stack them up, and we're just going to do a little dice. I mean, if you want to be lazy, buy lardons. This is already done for you. It's pancetta that's already cut in a little container. Pan's on a medium heat. Gonna go a little glug of olive oil. And then just in with our pancetta. We want our pancetta to render and blister and let out its flavour. We don't want a full onion for this because we're only making lentils for 2. So we're gonna use half an onion. Don't want to go too small, we just want like a basic college dice, not nothing flashy, just like so, and then dice up our onions. So look, we're just going to check on our tomatoes and garlic. Just going to give these a little fold over because the ones at the bottom are going to cook faster. Just give them a little fold. So look, these are starting to blister and soften and go sweet. So we're going to do the same thing with our celery. Now this is one stick. Again, we're only making lentils for two, so we don't need that much. We're just going to run our knife on. Celery. Same amount of carrot, same amount of onion, same amount of celery. Yeah? Done. That's our base. So now look, our pancetta is starting to crisp. We've got like little dancing bits of fat. This bit's fully rendered out. It's starting to go crispy. We're going to go in with our vegetables. So we want to cook our onion, celery and carrot until it goes sweet. There's going to be a little bit of colour. We can't prevent that. Also, my gas fire only does hot, doesn't do medium or low heat. Anyway, importantly, I know that our pancetta is seasoned, but we're going to go in with a little bit of salt, just so the vegetables are introduced and getting to know each other. Let those cook down, soft, sweet, done. We're going to check our peppers and tomatoes, because I reckon it's about time they came off. So once they wilt like this one, take them off. These two need a little bit longer, but these two can definitely come off. Right, so I'm just stirring the tomatoes, making sure they're all cooked through, just checking if the garlic has softened. Basically, once the garlic softened, our tomatoes are done as well. These last two peppers need a little bit longer, and then we're going to take them off and we're going to smash them together. Patience, ladies and gentlemen, patience. Right, so all of our peppers now are fully loose and relaxed, charred off, soft to the touch. Skin's starting to come away from them. Look, we've cooked them quite a long time. The skin slowly just peels off and you're left with like this steaming sweetness. So we're going to stick these to one side, and our tomatoes are nice and soft. Skin's starting to come away from them. They're sweet. The garlic's cooked through, and we're just going to set this all on this little tray and let them cool down a bit so that we can start working with them. Our vegetables and our pancetta are nice and sweet, slowly cooked. We're just going to introduce some herbs into the pan. So I've got a little stick of rosemary, a couple bits of thyme, and then a few fresh bay leaves. You can use dry, doesn't matter. I'm going to go 2 fresh bay leaves, just give those a knock around. So our herbs are fried up for a little bit. Now you need to understand that with something like lentils that don't really carry much flavour, the more depth and the more earthiness and the sweeter flavours we get in our base, the better our lentils are going to taste. So now we're going to go in with a mug of washed lentils. Our lentils are in, and I'm just going to cover with some chicken stock. Here's some I made earlier from a supermarket in a packet. We've covered our lentils with about 750 ml of chicken stock. You can do that with water, but I like to think any way you could use water, if you use chicken stock, again, you're adding more flavour. So, lentils parked off, bring them to the boil, reduce the heat, let them simmer, about 20 minutes. Let's move on to making our romesco sauce with the peppers and the tomatoes that we charred on the barbecue. I'm just going to start by peeling our peppers back, right? So, just take the skin off, and once they've cooled down, you should just be able to, I'm not using that much force, I'm just slipping my hand down, and off comes the skin, right? We don't want any skin in this because the skin is never going to break down. We just want the sweetness from the flesh. And there you have 1 peeled pepper. Peter Piper, picked a pepper, pepper, pick up piper. Tomatoes, I'm going to try to get as much skin off as I can. So like this one, that's what we're looking for, just like a juicy cooked tomato over some fire. And then again with our garlic, we're just going to squash our garlic out, and that's going to get bashed down in our sauce as well. So if you were going to do this at home and you don't have the means to go outside and have a barbecue, very hot oven, about 200 degrees, peppers and tomatoes the same way, a little bit of olive oil and some salt. Cook them for about 15-20 minutes just until they blister. Your peppers will still fill up with steam and still go black. Set them aside, peel them the same way. However, if you do this on the barbecue, You get the smoky flavors from the fat drips onto the charcoal, and you've got that extra dimension of flavor. So I'd prefer you did this on the barbecue, but if not, no one's gonna tell you off or anything. Do you know what I mean? This is home cooking. This is the way you should do it. But we're gonna move on to making this into something delicious. So here, I've just pan roasted some almonds, yeah? I'm gonna go about 2 tablespoons of almonds into this pestle and mortar. And we're just gonna bash them down a little. Now we don't wanna go like really fine or like into a almond dust. And by roasting them, we've given the almonds more of a nutty flavor. We've released their oils, we've roasted them off. They've got a good dark color. And almonds are a big thing in Spain. Like you go to the markets and people just eat almonds out of little plastic containers that are roasted with olive oil and loads of salt. I'm gonna go in with our peppers. Now you need to make sure that there's no seeds in these, and then just give them a little rip up so that they break down easier. So the easiest way is pull the top off, turn it upside down, because all of our seeds sit at the top. Run our fingers through it, as if you were straightening your hair. 3 peppers have gone in, no skin, no seeds. I'm just gonna take these tomatoes, I'm just gonna let them drop out of their skin into here. Now traditionally there isn't tomatoes in romesco, but I like to add, I feel that the tomatoes gives it another layer of acidity, but it also gives it like a darker sweet tone that complements the roasted pepper, right? So I'm just gonna squash this in. I've got a little bit of pepper juice here. Just a tiny bit of pepper juice. We're just gonna give this a little crush down. There's something really satisfying about using a pestle and mortar. It's almost like a nod to the ancestors. Right, so we've broken it all down. It's come together. A little bit wet, but we've also still got the bits of bite from the nuts, right? This as it is fucking delicious, right? But we're gonna take it that one step higher. So we need to go with a crack of salt. I'm gonna go a little teaspoon of pimento. I'm using the spicy stuff because I want there to be a little bit of heat. And we're just gonna pick it up as if we're doing a bump. That's about a teaspoon of picante paprika. Incorporate this before I start adding the other seasonings. I wanna know that my salt's at the right place and my paprika's at the right place. So I'm just gonna stir this through. Nice little hum of paprika now. So, we need to think of our palate as like, you know that scene in Ratatouille where the rat first eats bits of stuff out of the garbage and he closes his eyes and it's like a black backdrop and like all these neon fluorescent colours of like bits of cheese and this, that and the other. Think like that, honestly. I know it's a kids show, but think like that. So now we've got garlic, I've got roasted flavours, I've got paprika, I've got heat, I've got salt. What's gonna give us that flick of neon? Do you know what I mean? And now that's gonna come with some acid. So I'm gonna go with some sherry vinegar, a tablespoon. Mix that through. And then I like to cut it with olive oil. Now the olive oil is gonna pick up the flavors and it's gonna allow the oil to color and bleed and almost just bring everything together, but also give us a better spooning consistency. So I'm going in with some good olive oil. I'd say that's probably about 5 tablespoons of olive oil, the good stuff. The olive oil is also a seasoning, it's gonna give us a pepperiness. And then we're just gonna mix that together, right? So look, it's changed almost, it started to thicken. What's Spanish for banging? Por favor. Oh, muy bien, sí, 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 claro, claro. Right, so this is done. Lentils are up to the boil. Romesco is made. Pork chops are gonna go on. It's gonna go on a plate. It's gonna go in here, and we're good to go. Just gonna have a little clean up because it's a bit messy. Anyone that ever worked with me in an actual kitchen knows that I'm an absolute mess. But when you're doing videos and that, you've got to look presentable, innit? So. All we're gonna do, our grill's still hot, I've just checked it. Just gonna give it a generous amount of salt, yeah? Flip these over. Same again. I'm just gonna pull these bits of lemon off, just because once you grill them, they can go very bitter. But the rosemary and the thyme, as long as our grill's at the right temperature, we can get away with leaving those on, and they'll crisp and caramelize and bleed the flavor into the meat as it cooks. Knowledge is power, my friend, knowledge is power. I'm at a 4 count, so I've still got heat in it. I've knocked the ash off of my charcoal. We're just gonna put these down and let them do their thing. No hard and fast, gentle, gentle, build flavor, let the smoke clouds come up. Turn it once in a while, make sure it's medium rare, and carve it. Gentle sizzle, gentle. Run the rhythm. I'm gonna flip my pork, yeah? It's been cooking for about 4 minutes. I can feel that the underside's tightened. Just gonna have a look. Yeah. Yes. I know that this one, I can feel that it needs a little bit longer. The heat's not as hot as it is on this side, but we can have a little peek and just see what's happening. Yeah, it's starting to build the caramel flavors. Give them both a turn. We're gonna cook them for about 3 minutes on this side, then rest them. Put it out. Right, so I've cooked my pork on both sides, right? But you can see this fat here is quite fat, and we don't want to like not cook that out. It's full of flavor. So I'm going to use a little brick, and I'm just going to prop my pork up alongside it, and we're just going to render the fat out. I've cooked my fat out ever so slightly, got a little crisp, it's rendered. The pork's now sat at like a medium rare, it's got a good bounce. We're going to pull them off and we're going to rest them. Our lentils, if you see, I can still toss them. There's a little bit of liquid left in the bottom of our pan, right? They're great, they're sweet, but they need a little bit of seasoning. So we're going to go in with some love. So we've got a bit of salt. I'm going to go in with a crack of pepper. And to complement the flavour of the romesco, I'm going to go a touch of this sherry vinegar, just to give it a lift, some oomph, and then dress it with our really good olive oil. Now the olive oil is going to give us like a pepperiness and a silkiness, and it's just going to give us the right consistency and a good mouthfeel. So we're going to give this a little toss. And it started to almost like emulsify. It's gone a little bit sludgy in the best term possible. but that's good to go. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this parsley, stalks and all. Parsley stalks never hurt anyone. Just going to chop it down. Finish him. Little parsley, just like that. Good stir. This is the kind of thing you'd eat in a French bistro. Not that I've ever been to a French bistro, but it's something that Rick Stein said once. Plate. Here. Gonna go a spoon of the lentils. So our lentils, our pork chop that I'm gonna carve after. And then a nice spoon of this romesco. Just like that. And then to finish, a little bit of food lube. And that's it. The kind of food that hugs you from the inside. It's like a nan's cuddle is the way I'd describe it. Like no one cuddles you like the way your nan does, right? So that's that. I plated it up for you guys to see what it's gonna look like, but I'm gonna carve it. So this is a pork T-bone, right? This side is fillet and this side is sirloin, yeah? So we're just going to follow the bone in here, cut it away, and again the same on this side. And then we'll just slice this bad boy up. Look at that. It's a blushing medium rare. Now this is top quality pork, so I do like to undercook it. And it just gives you that juicy bite. You've got like caramelized bits of fat. And it's just fucking, it's just moist. Like, it's just moist. Like you just want to put it in your mouth. Yeah? So I'm going to stick this back on the plate. What do you want me to say about it? I haven't got enough adjectives. It's great. Make it, eat it. Thank me on Insta. A little bit of fillet, some lentils, top it with a romesco. You've got like earthiness from the lentils, good juicy bit of pork, and then like acidity and vibrancy from the romesco, pepperiness of the olive oil. I'm a happy boy. Bless up, shout out to Mandem. Dun dun dun, dun dun, dun dun, dun. Bow.